Hi. It's nice to be back. Happy New Year. 2026 is already being marked by several crises that are rapidly destroying Canada's once strong immigration consensus. If Canada is to have any hope of continuing to be a welcoming country, it's incumbent upon the federal Liberal government to take swift, decisive action to address several problems, which are largely attributable to a decade of Liberal policy failures. And so today, in my role as Shadow Minister for Immigration, ahead of the resumption of the House of Commons, I'm calling upon the Liberals to undertake a series of swift policy actions to address three looming crises to restore order, fairness, and compassion to Canada's immigration system. These actions build upon the comprehensive suite of policy proposals that Conservatives announced last fall. The first crisis. Millions of people in Canada are currently on expired or soon to expire temporary visas. The Liberals have no credible plan to remove them while simultaneously inviting hundreds of thousands more temporary residents into the country. Millions of people are now residing in Canada with temporary permits that have expired or will expire this year, and many are unwilling to leave. This incredible circumstance is a direct result of the Liberals issuing massive, unsustainable numbers of temporary resident permits in a very short period of time. Adding to the severity of this crisis are 500,000 undocumented persons in the country. Compounding this issue is last year's immigration levels plan, where the Liberals announced that they are going to issue hundreds of thousands more temporary permits in 2026. The Liberals predicated these levels on the assumption that millions of people with expired or expiring visas will leave. This isn't fair to anyone. Undocumented persons are forced to work on a black market for labor, while Canadians are facing an acute housing shortage, a healthcare system failure, and youth jobs crisis. If the Liberals bring in hundreds of thousands of more temporary residents without a credible plan to remove millions of people who no longer have a legal reason to be in the country, these problems will only worsen. That the Liberals are ignoring this reality through their policy choices is both uncompassionate and disturbing. Making the challenge of resolving this crisis worse, the Liberals did not implement an exit tracking system prior to inviting millions of temporary residents to the country, nor did they reform the asylum system to reduce the incentives for people with expiring visas to abuse the system in order to stay in Canada. On this matter, our call to action is this. In order for Canada to rebuild its consensus for immigration, the law must be enforced. Temporary has to mean temporary. So Conservatives call upon the Liberal government to table a plan by the end of this month to tell Canadians how they plan to enforce existing Canadian law and get millions of people with expiring visas to leave Canada this year. Crisis number two. Tens of thousands of new illegal border crossers are making asylum claims, while truly persecuted persons in Canada are being left in limbo. In December of 2025, Canada's pending asylum claims reached an unprecedented 300,000 cases, many from illegal border crossers entering Canada from the United States. This is up from less than 10,000 in 2015. To put that in perspective, under the Liberal government, Canada's asylum backlog now exceeds the population of a city like Windsor, Ontario. Worse, most people who make a claim can now expect to remain in Canada for many years prior to their claim being examined and are eligible for generous social benefits while their claim is pending. This failure is the result of a decade of Liberal policies that have encouraged the abuse of our system, straining housing, healthcare, and the job market while eroding public support for controlled immigration. And this backlog is about to get a lot worse. Up to 350,000 Haitian nationals currently in the United States face termination of their temporary protected status, effective February 3rd, 2026. Temporary protected status is an American program that temporarily prevents people without legal status in the United States from deportation during crises in their home country. Said differently, the United States has ordered that about 350,000 Haitian nationals without legal status must now return home. This matters to Canada because many will attempt to enter our country illegally in order to avoid removal. History shows that this is a pattern. When Haitians in the United States first faced temporary protected status revocation nearly a decade ago, Canada experienced a major increase in illegal crossings and asylum claims. Canadian government data confirms this trend. In recent months, despite the Safe Third Country Agreement, the formal arrangements where refugees can only make a claim in the first country they arrive in, thousands of Haitians have crossed illegally into Canada and filed asylum claims after having been found to have no legal reason to be in the United States. From 2017 to 2024, about 40,000 Haitians made such claims in Canada, and in last year alone, nearly 12,000 did so. This number is likely to further surge after February 3rd, precisely at a time when Canada has extremely limited capacity or frankly social willingness to process and provide support to tens of thousands of new asylum claimants who have likely already had their claims rejected in the U.S. This wave of potential new arrivals raises humanitarian, security, and infrastructure concerns. Many are attempting to enter Canada during frigid winter weather. Without strong deterrence, there will be more dangerous winter crossings attempted, as well as human trafficking, as seen in recent RCMP arrests and the interception of a U-Haul with 44 suspected Haitian trafficking victims. The Liberal government has deemed the United States a safe third country. That is, if someone reaches the United States, they are obligated to make an asylum claim there and are subsequently ineligible to file a claim in Canada. However, the Liberal government has failed to close a major loophole in the Safe Third Country Agreement. An overly broad definition of family allows illegal crossers to claim asylum if they have relatives in Canada, and this includes spouses, common law partners, children of any age, parents, siblings, grandparents, grandchildren, aunts, uncles, nieces, and nephews, even if those family members only have pending asylum claims themselves. This enables chains of potentially bogus asylum claims amid prolonged processing and rare removals. Furthermore, the Liberal government has shown reluctance to crack down on human traffickers who profit off of illegally transporting people across the border, or to adopt conservative proposals that would reform social benefits that may incentivize bogus asylum claimants. When combined with prolonged processing delays, these benefits serve as incentives to make bogus applications. The existing backlog, already enormous, will only grow larger, further straining Canada's welfare resources, housing, and healthcare systems that should prioritize Canadians and genuine refugees. This is not compassionate or fair to anyone. I realize that this is a difficult topic, but it is an urgent matter that the government must address. For example, the Liberals have broken promises to persecuted groups who are already in Canada, such as those from Ukraine, Hong Kong, and Sudan, leaving them in limbo while prioritizing resources for illegal crossers who may have questionable claims. This is wrong. Canada has a finite capacity to provide support, shelter, and protection to vulnerable persons. The Liberals should be prioritizing truly protected persons as opposed to making space for bogus asylum claimants. So our call to action on this issue is as follows. Conservatives will use the upcoming parliamentary session to restore order and fairness to Canada's broken asylum system by continuing to champion the suite of asylum system reforms we introduced as amendments to Bill C-12. And if illegal border crossers numbers continues to surge, call on the Liberals to examine the potential preemptive use of Section 20.1 of the Immigration and Refugee Protection Act to uphold the spirit of the Safe Third Country Agreement and designate certain nationals crossing illegally from the U.S. as an irregular group arrival, triggering measures that would deter mass winter crossings and human trafficking and potentially save lives. Push for the Liberals to rigorously enforce Sections 117 through 121 of the Immigration Refugee Protection Act, which impose severe penalties on traffickers, including fines, imprisonment, and deportation bans. Calling on the Liberals to seek urgent cooperation with the United States to close the family loophole in the Safe Third Country Agreement by narrowing the definition to match Canada's definition, which is standard for family class, which is spouses, common law or conjugal partners, dependent children generally under the age of 22, parents and grandparents. We will also call for the Liberals, importantly, to honor commitments to persecuted groups already in Canada by pausing the acceptance of new government-assisted refugees and reallocating those spots to eligible individuals already in Canada from Ukraine, Hong Kong, and Sudan. And the last crisis. Non-citizens convicted of serious crimes are being given lenient sentences in order to allow them to avoid deportation. Almost every week, another high-profile incident comes to light of a non-citizen convicted of serious crimes getting a lenient sentence and avoiding deportation. In the last 2 months alone, we've seen stories about a truck driver who recklessly killed a 23-year-old Caledon woman who got 55 days in jail. A man convicted of child porn possession or child sexual abuse material who knew it was a crime when he watched it, was given leniency as the judge gave him 6 months less a day, which the judge explicitly said was to avoid immigration consequences. A man who pleaded guilty to abducting a 9-year-old boy he didn't know awaited sentencing after asking for 6 months less a day to avoid immigration consequences. This situation is perpetuating a two-tier justice system in Canada wherein non-citizens are treated differently than Canadian citizens. This is causing the rapid erosion of Canada's consensus on immigration, as well as it is unfair to Canadian victims of crime. Therefore, we call upon the Liberals to rapidly pass Bill C-20, my bill to end the practice of giving non-citizens convicted of serious crimes leniency in sentencing in order to help them avoid deportation. In the upcoming session, Conservatives will continue to pressure the Liberals to pass common sense policies we proposed last fall, as well as to take the action that we've outlined today.